And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we are here inside of MON-FRI's What's Poppin'. Coming up on today's broadcast is an all-new Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. We are here today with the LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse team in their first season in Division I here in 2024 as an independent. We'll be joined by Kyle Caves as well as Mason Ciciarelli picture in just a moment. And in hour number 2, we'll be getting into my coverage of Gerry McNamara's introductory press conference as the new head coach of the Siena Saints men's basketball program. And we'll be hearing from the many voices that were there on the dais for the special opportunity for Gerry McNamara to step in as head coach. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and it's time to go picture in picture with the gents here from the lacrosse team. And we have CNS and Liverpool side by side, and this is something you don't see happen a lot as we are here in this edition of the Dolphin Dive. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good.
And happy to have you here, guys. And I know this has been a unique season in and of itself, in the fact of the move from D2 to D1 in the case of men's lacrosse put you in a situation where you were independent because they did not have enough teams inside of the NEC for Division I to have to be a sponsored sport. So what's that been like for you to go from playing inside of the NE10 to now having this independent year, just what that experience has been like? And Mason, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, this is my first go at college ball in general, so,
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful for every opportunity that I get out here, and I feel like it wouldn't really matter who we were playing or where we were playing. It's just, like, fun to play. So, but as for going D1, I think that our attitude didn't change the way we placed people. We played people straight up the way we'd play them. We were D2 or D1. Just beat them at our own game.
Kyle, for you?
Yeah, kind of like what Mason said, I don't think our mentality has changed too much. I mean, you can see on our schedule with two big opponents in Yale and Denver. We weren't scared to have those guys on our schedule, and I think our guys who came out of that game taking some, obviously didn't come away with a win, but I think we had some positives out of that. And I think that's kind of what our mentality is just going in every game like we can win every game. And that was always our mentality in Division Two. So overall mentality hasn't changed, just guys buying in, and at the end of the day we're still going outside for 2 hours of practice like we would any other day. So it's a good test for us.
And like you said, and it doesn't matter D2 or D1, this program at LeMoyne, the men's lacrosse program, has proven that they can play with anybody, they can hang with anybody. It's never, in my opinion, I don't see it as it was a D2 and now it's a D1. Technically it is, but the effort and just the coaching, the student athletes that come in like yourselves, there's something about this men's lacrosse program that doesn't really sit in a division. Kyle, you've been here for a bunch of years, so can you speak to the fact of this was never truly a D2 or a D1 program? There's something about LeMoyne's men's lacrosse program that really puts you in a situation, in my opinion, where you could play anybody on any given day. And I don't think that coach has ever recruited a D2 athlete. I think coach has recruited the best student athletes to carry on this national success for LeMoyne.
Yeah, I think that speaks big on the culture we have here. Coach Sheehan and our alumni hold us to a very high standard. We go every day to hold that standard, and that's kind of our motto going throughout the season. So, yeah, I mean, just that standard that we have, we never can live that down. And it doesn't matter what, like I said, it doesn't matter what division we are in. We are hold that standard, and the bar is set there. There's no going under the bar. It's always going over that bar.
And what is that bar in your opinion? Where is it set, and how would you describe the bar that's there for LeMoyne men's lacrosse?
Yeah, I guess I'd say the bar is just that intensity that we play at. I mean, that intensity is going to win or lose us games. So I think throughout my 4 years here, that bar has always been at that level, and I think we do a good job of competing above that, playing for our alumni, playing for our coaches, and playing for the guy to the left and right of us.
And when you say playing for the guy to the left and right of you, Mason, for you, what brought you in to LeMoyne. What was it about this program that you could reflect upon, hindsight 2020, just made you want to be here as opposed to anywhere else?
Honestly, just like knowing that I'm right in my hometown and that I'm with a bunch of guys that I know have my back, and that the culture at LeMoyne College is just unlike anywhere I've seen. So I just feel like the interconnectedness between all like the student athletes and all the lacrosse players here just like really made me want to come.
And like you said, being close to home and having the opportunity to compete not far away from where you grew up, being in this first season, and like you said, you don't know any difference. You don't know the NE10 because this is your first year with LeMoyne. What has it been like? And like you said, you play the team in front of you, so you don't see it as this is an independent schedule. You just see it as this is a schedule. This is who we have to play. This is the next team up. What has this season been like for you so far? Has it been what you anticipated you'd get at LeMoyne? Is it better? Just what your takeaways have been so far.
I mean, I came in here thinking we were gonna be, D2, and like I was just gonna be, average, and then we come out here and we're D1 facing these powerhouse schools, and it's kind of like a, oh shit, I'm here. So it was just super exciting playing all these teams. I mean, we never really ever had our tail tucked between our leg. We were always ready to just go at it.
And for both of you guys, we do something on the show called Tell Me Something Good. For Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves here with me from LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse. We have a rookie, essentially, and we have a veteran. So, Mason, tell me something good about Kyle.
Something good about Kyle is that he's a great leader, and that when we're on the field and there's people that don't know where they're going or people that don't know what they're doing, he's not there to bark at you or yell at you. He's there to like guide you and help you, which is really helpful on the field.
Okay, so there to guide you and help you in a time where you might need some assistance. Kyle, tell me something good about Mason.
Yeah, I think Mason coming in as a freshman, I think he's done a very good job at what his job is to do, and I think that he knows what his job is, and he does it at a very high level. I mean, he's a guy that's gonna dive for an end line for you to catch another possession, and he listens when he's being told something. And I think one of the biggest things is he listens, or he asks questions when questions need to be asked. He's not afraid to ask questions, and I think that's why he's had success here so far.
And having you both on screen, we're literally seeing, that connection, the opportunity for a connection. But some teams can't do this. Some teams, when you have veterans and you have newcomers come onto the team, they don't gel. Why is this team gelling from newcomer to veteran? And I'd love for you both to speak on it since you're living it every single day. Mason as a freshman and Kyle as a vet here and spending your whole career here. Kyle, I'll start with you. Why is there a good gelling of new faces with the returners?
Yeah, I guess my job is to get the new guys coming in to kind of see how we do things around here, and that's not to be me yelling and screaming in their face. That's not what the point is. The point is to lead by example. And so when they're at my point, when they're in my point of my career, as it might be 3-4 years younger than you, but essentially they're your best friends, and you treat them like they're your best friends. And it's more of a bigger picture thing, more of a life thing than rather than hammering down on their head. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. It's more of a big picture, and I think that goes on later in life, and I think me and younger guys will share a relationship later on after school.
Hey, you talk about the fact, Kyle, of that connection and the importance of building a family and not just building a team is what I get from that. Who taught you that on the team?
I guess you could say that the older guys when I was a freshman. I mean, when I was a freshman, I didn't see the field very much, but I think the older guys did a very good job of kind of keeping us on track and keeping the bigger picture. What was most important? And I think that I have the same kind of mentality now. Is that bigger picture thing? You got to look far beyond the years and kind of make the younger guys understand what's going on here.
And for you, Mason, why do you think this team has been able to gel together, to work together, to find success between newcomer and veteran? you heard Kyle say it's his job to kind of bring you guys along. Do you feel like he's done that for you, and just what your take is of the culture of this program?
Yeah, I think that all of our upperclassmen have done a great job at like incorporating all the younger kids into doing stuff and just like being closer with each other. I think it all started in the fall too, when we were all had less practice time, so we could all hang out more and just get to know each other better. And that really like allowed a lot of guys to come out of their shells and just be way more social with the team. So I feel like that allowed us to become way better friends, which allowed us to be way better players with each other.
So, I mean, obviously, it's a highly competitive opportunity when it comes to LeMoyne. We see national championships. I grew up on the north side with a LeMoyne sign just a few steps out of my front yard, welcoming people to Syracuse and the home of the national champions when it came to LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse. So when you know the weight of this team and the weight of this culture and the program and the history, Mason, for you, do you ever feel that weight? Is that with you when you're out there on the field, when you're out there practicing? Does that go away? I mean, what can you say about what it's like to be on a team that represents not just LeMoyne, but represents the city of Syracuse?
I just know that there's really big shoes that you got to fill and fill to the best of your ability, and that whenever I go out there, I'm playing 110% to fill those shoes to the best of my ability, no matter what. And I feel like the weight on my shoulders, it's not just on my shoulders, it's on everybody's on the whole team, from the last person in the lineup to the starting face-off kid. It doesn't really matter who you are. I feel like the whole team has that responsibility of upholding our culture and traditions.
Kyle, for you, you've had the opportunity to have this for many years and to represent this program. What's it been like? Do you feel that pressure? Do you feel what the history is? Is that always with you? Does that stay with you? Does that go away as soon as you're getting set for game time? Bring me into it.
Yeah, I think you can definitely feel the weight at times, but I'd say that our coaching staff does a very good job of creating that pressure during practice. During practice could be the where you can feel the pressure the most. So it might be bad in the moment, but in the big picture, I think I keep talking about the big picture. But in the big picture of things, when it comes game time, those pressures go away, and you kind of just play because you've been used to playing under that pressure all week, preparing for a game. So like I said, I think the coaches do a very good job at holding us accountable for that. And like Mason said, it's not always just one guy holding that pressure. It's a full team holding that pressure, and at times you can feel it, but when it's time for game time, I think that goes away, and you got to focus on the task at hand.
So for these two gentlemen here on the broadcast, Dolphin Dive, LeMoyne Men's Lacrosse, here with Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves, we have CNS sitting next to Liverpool. I want to know what this is like to have that culture, because there's a lot of local student athletes that come to this men's lacrosse program. So Mason, I'd love to get your side of it first. What's it like to rep CNS and have to sit next to Liverpool and be in practice with Liverpool and be around Liverpool? What's that been like for you?
I mean, there's always chirps, here and there. At the end of the day, we're all Dolphins. But we kind of push that high school stuff behind us sometimes. But yeah, you'll get the occasional Liverpool, CNS, West Jenny, or Beeville chirp in there too.
Okay. Kyle, what about you? Do you like to, when you're in practice and maybe Mason does something or misses something, do you like just kind of giving a little shot, a little reminder like, "Oh, if you came to my school, maybe you'd know how to do that." Do you guys have that playful back and forth?
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, I think Mason's a little outnumbered on our team. We've got a couple more Liverpool guys. Than we do CNS guys. I think he stays pretty relatively quiet.
Oh,
Fair enough. I mean, do you guys go back to those moments? Do you go back to those games at all? I mean, I know that you're in the thick of things in the season, but do you try to go out and see your alma mater? Do you ever go to games together? What can you say about that? Because you're in such a unique opportunity where you can, you're home and you could go a few minutes down the road and go see Liverpool, go see CNS. Do you try to get over there? Do you talk to anybody that's on the current team? How do you connect back to your alma maters? Kyle,
I
I'll start with
mean,
you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I definitely try to look back and at Liverpool and see what's going on back there. I'm in pretty close contact with head coach Mike Felice. Um, I'd say we're pretty close, and I've kept with him for the past 4 years now. And I always like to just check in to see how the team's looking, and I usually try to make a couple of practices a year. I'll be able to make a little bit more this year, but it's always nice to go back and see familiar faces and just kind of watch the team grow over the years. Some of those guys that are playing there now, I've when I was playing, they were on the younger teams, and they kind of looked up to me. So I kind of like to go back and just check in on those guys, just keep up with them.
What about you, Mason?
I actually just went to a CNS game this past weekend, so I'll just ride down there, and I'm in close contact with Coach Chuck Wilbur all the time and Nick Gatto, so I'm always in the loop with stuff that's going on down at CNS. So I'm occasionally there, practices and games and stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's so unique, and it's not unique to this season, but it's been throughout that LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse is well represented by the community. How much did that play into both of you coming to LeMoyne? The fact that Dan Sheehan and this program in and of itself is not only a successful program over history, but it's a successful program that's built in central and upstate New York, which is obviously a hotbed for lacrosse. Mason, what does that element of it mean to you, that you're not just a part of the history of LeMoyne, you're a part of this community that gets to go and grow up and be a little kid playing lacrosse, going into high school, and now in college, that this community can continue to watch you and see you, just what it's meant that LeMoyne has not only had success, but had success locally.
I mean, it's meant a lot to me because my head coach or my assistant coach, Nick Gatto in high school, and there was another assistant coach, Zach Sealy. They both are alumni of LeMoyne College. So it kind of just meant a lot to me to go here and like kind of follow in their footsteps and just following that culture.
What about for you, Kyle?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing is pretty cool to be able to come here and be teammates with guys that you competed with in high school, guys that and those guys are your best friends now. So I think that's the cool thing about it is just like there's like a upstate New York lacrosse is different from most spots, I believe, and I think it's kind of cool when we come here and grab the best guys out of Section Three and come here and play together. I think that it shows on the field, and it's definitely fun, and I think I look forward to it a lot.
And before I let you guys go, here with Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves from the LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse team in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, here in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College. You guys talked about the schedule a little bit here. You haven't been home a lot on Ted Grant Field. We've only seen just a small amount of opportunity here. St. John's University, and you're going to end the season at home against Holy Cross. Being on the road for the majority of the season, you mentioned Yale, you mentioned Denver. Are there places that you've been to? Even though you haven't been at home, you have been in the state of New York at Siena. You started off the season at Wagner, at Hobart in Geneva, New York. So you have been in the state of New York, but just what it's been like to only see home once and to spend all this time in different places, including Yale and Denver, what the experience has been like on the road, and what you've taken away from some of these environments that you've been in. If you have a favorite one that you played in, just what your thoughts are on the season so far. Kyle, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think you can kind of moan and groan about having all these away games, but at the end of the day, I mean, we kind of look at it as all these away games, more time with your friends on the bus, in the hotel. I mean, I think we've kind of taken advantage of those times and built better relationships with each other. I mean, we always are having fun in the hotels and on the buses, just building that camaraderie, and I think that's huge. But so I can't really say much about about traveling because at the end of the day, lacrosse is lacrosse, no matter what field, home or away you're playing on. We're looking to compete. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things.
Do you have a favorite site or environment that you've been in?
Um, like I said, I think every site that we've played in, no matter it's all the same. I mean, you're just playing against normal kids, no matter what the stadium looks like or how big the stage is or how little the stage is. It's still a lacrosse game, and I think that's where we keep our head at.
I like that. I appreciate that. Mason, for you, what it's been like to have your first season in college and be on the road for the majority of it, and just what you've taken away from the experiences that you've had, and maybe as a second piece to this, the fact that even in some of these losses, the games have been very close. And I look at that St. John's game, that 9-7 matchup that you had here, as well as Siena 11-9. Just how not only have you played in these games and been a strong team in these moments, but I don't think the win-loss record adequately shows what LeMoyne is doing in this independent season, as you have pushed teams that you've never played before to the brink. So just what that experience has been, and a couple of those close games, just what those meant to you, showing that you could play with anybody.
I feel like we know that we can play with people and that we can get stuff done on the field and off the field. A big part of like traveling and stuff like that is obviously getting your schoolwork done and stuff. So that's been a little bit stressful, but honestly, the traveling aspect is just you just gotta buckle down and you gotta have some grit to get through it. With the St. John's game, it wasn't the outcome we were looking for, but we do learn a lot from every win and loss that we play. Learn a lot.
What have you learned from this season so far, win or lose?
We just learned how to play with each other, where we're making mistakes, how to fix those mistakes, and then just overall like chemistry with the team.
Kyle, you're a vet, as we've spoken about throughout this conversation. What do you think this team has learned collectively so far this season that can help you move forward into these last few games?
I guess just pushing through adversity. I mean, some of the losses obviously we're not looking for, but I think at the end of the day, you can't always be looking at the negatives here. The positives are there, so take the positives that you can get. Obviously, you can't just ignore the negatives, but I think we've done a good job of having a mixture of both and staying positive. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, no matter that we're win or loss, you gotta have some kind of something to lean on to keep us going strong and not fall flat.
Yeah,
I think we've done a fairly good job at doing that.
Yeah, and I think, it's always, and on this show, it's important to me, always go beyond the win-loss column and just look at what this experience has been like and what you guys have been able to do and the teams that you've gone out and played and the competition that you've created and those positives, like you said, Kyle, that you could take away from moments of the game, win or lose, that are going to help you build this foundation as you step forward on top of what's already been built at LeMoyne. So what has been the most positive, most exciting part of this season? Something that just makes you smile when you think back on the season so far for LeMoyne men's lacrosse. Before we jump into rapid fire, Kyle, I'll start with you. What's been a part or maybe a couple pieces of this season that you reflect on and say, you know what, I'm really happy we went through that, or I'm happy we experienced that, or something that just made you stop in a practice or in a game or in a class or just grabbing lunch with somebody that made you say, this part of this season I really appreciate?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cases that I felt that way. But one thing we do talk about a lot here is it's more of a bigger picture thing, but diving for end lines as we call it. I mean, if you watch any lacrosse game, you don't have to know lacrosse, but to be watching someone diving for an end line. I mean, that's just heart and that's grit. And I just think that we need more. We have a lot of that in our team, and when we see that as a whole, I think that that drives us and that makes us inside want to fight for one another even more. So I think that's one of the biggest things we were looking at. Like I said, it's a very diving for end line, not technically meaning diving for an end line, but just kind of that attitude and that focus as we play each game, and even in practice too. I think we hold each other's to that standard in practice. So when you see that and you hear the guys yelling and hooting and hollering when someone dives for an end line, I think that's an energy booster, and I think we look for that.
Yeah, I mean, given that total effort at all times, no matter what.
Yeah.
Mason, for you, do you have a favorite moment so far?
Mine has to be probably pregame locker room energy. We get super hyped up and just lock in. So that's probably got to be one of the highlight moments for me.
All right, pregame locking. Is there a song that's consistently played? Is there something that stays consistent for every pregame?
It's not always the same, but there's a few songs that are rotated through.
Okay, all right. Do you have a favorite?
I no, I don't. I just I listen to whatever's put on.
What is that pregame? Bring us into it. What are we not seeing that gets you hyped up?
We have our assistant coach hype us up, gives us like a little pep talk pregame. Everybody's talking to each other. We're all making sure we know what we're doing, and then we're just getting ready. So
All right, fair enough. Well, let's jump into rapid fire. We're going to get a couple of pieces here on this. It could be about lacrosse, could be about anything in the world. We put each other on the hot seat. You guys have the opportunity to ask questions as well as I do. So take advantage of this because normally you're being asked the questions. Kyle, I'm going to give you the opportunity for the first question. You can ask me whatever you want when you're ready.
Let's see here. What's your favorite food?
It's very tough, especially being hungry in the studio this morning. I would say probably something you could change up a lot and do different things to. So I'm going to say pizza because you can put different
Solid.
toppings on it. I'll say pizza. I'm Hispanic and Italian, so I could say pizza. I could say like tacos because there was a string within these last couple weeks where I made homemade tacos, chicken and shrimp, and I was just like doing like kind of off going this way, going that way, and I didn't get sick of it for like 4 days. So I think tacos or pizza because you can mix it up is what I would go with.
Solid choice.
All right, Kyle. We were talking about music. If you could pick any song to describe you, like every time you walk into a classroom, this song plays. You come on the field, this song plays. You're in the
Huh.
grocery store, and that song plays. What's the song of Kyle Caves?
It's a hard question. Very tough question. I'm gonna have to say any song by Little Baby. Any
Okay,
song.
any
That's a
song.
tough question though. That can go a lot of different ways. But thinking about lacrosse terms, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, all right. Any song by Lil Baby. Mason, what's your first question?
um, what are your opinions on other schools that are like shutting down or stuff like that due to like some for the college, like St. Rose, for example?
Well, I mean that's a good question. I can appreciate that. I think it's sad. It hits home in a way because when I was looking at where I was going to go to school, I went to St. Rose. It was actually the first. I didn't end up going to the College of St. Rose, but it was the first school I visited, and I look at the history. I feel really bad because I've talked to people before that said like I went to school here, the school doesn't exist. So like did my time there exist, which obviously it did, but they said, what do I tell people? I'm the graduate of nothing. I'm the graduate of this place that isn't there anymore. And with things at Casanova and things at St. Rose and just these unfortunate pieces of our history and recent history. My thoughts on it is that I feel terrible for the students, the student athletes, the faculty. There's so many people. It doesn't matter how big the school is, it doesn't matter what division they are. There's thousands of people that are involved there every single day. And then there's all of these alumni beyond that. And I think anytime a school closes, it's heartbreaking. I think anytime a school has to get rid of certain programs or close down a building or take out a major or take out a team, it's heartbreaking. And during COVID, I was watching these schools that were keeping basketball but getting rid of soccer, and to me, it's sad. It's unfortunate. I don't want to see it happen. I hope it stops happening, and it's just heartbreaking in a lot of these cases to see somebody have to leave and find a new home. And I've talked to student athletes that had to do exactly that. I've spoken with coaches that were told your position doesn't exist anymore, not because you're getting fired, but because we're closing the school. So I mean, it's definitely hit one degree of separation for me, and I pray for everybody involved, and I hope that there could be some financial planning and proposals that could be out there to maybe help schools find ways to navigate through it so that they don't have to close? So, good question, Mason. I appreciate that, Mason. For me, to you, Mason, what you got deep on that one, so I'm going to go deep back with you on this one. We have a presidential election year. It is 2024. You are running for president. I want to know who on your team is going to be your vice president, and I want to know what the campaign statement is that you're going to say when you go up to a podium. If it's a 3-word, 4-word statement, whatever it is, one sentence, I want to know who's your VP, and when you go up there and you're standing at the podium and you're banging your fist on the podium, what statement are you saying?
VP's hard. I'd probably have to go with Preston Taylor for vice president.
Okay.
He's just a reliable guy. The slogan. It's hard to think of it off the rip.
Yeah. Anything in the world. What's the slogan?
Build it brick by brick.
Build it brick by brick. Okay. Yeah. I like it. Build it brick by brick. It's not like the 2 slogans that are out there, so there's a good chance you're probably going to win, Mason. So congratulations on that. Let's have you guys go to each other now. Typically, we'll go back and forth again, but I want to see the questions that you got for each other from newcomer to vet. So, Mason, you get to ask Kyle a question. What do you want to ask Kyle?
What was your most memorable experience your freshman year?
Definitely win a national championship. Mason. If you could play any other sport in the world, what would it be?
Probably golf. Definitely.
Are you a good golfer?
I'm okay at golf. I'm not the best. Some days I'm good, some days I'm bad.
All right. Well, with that being said here, we tackled a lot of things. We tackled an election. We tackled food. And we also got to speak about this team a lot. So I appreciate it, gentlemen. I'm happy for all the work that you've put forward, both of you and the entire team, and obviously the coaching staff. And LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse is on this upward trajectory into Division I. There's a planned set of joining the NEC, so there's a lot here to come and a lot of positives here. There's 3 more games to go, and that final game of the regular season is going to be at home. And I implore everybody to come out and see you guys on the road at Bucknell and at Lafayette, 2 games that aren't that far away in the Northeast. And then on April 25th, on a Thursday at 4 p.m. against Holy Cross at home. For Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves, gentlemen, I appreciate having you on the show. Thank you for representing our community all through your life and now into college as well. And a big-time shout-out to what you're doing on the field in practice and in games and in the classroom. So thank you for representing LeMoyne, and I appreciate you, and go Dolphins on that lacrosse field. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
That coming once again from Mason and Kyle here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate having them here on the broadcast, and like I said, we appreciate them representing our community, not just here at LeMoyne, but representing our community at CNS, at Liverpool, and growing up here in the community. Kyle Caves and Mason Ciciarelli, 2 names that you've known for a very long time in Central and Upstate New York. And like Kyle said, being a national champion, experiencing what it's like to win a national championship in your hometown is probably speechless, and to have that national championship and to come off of that national championship and as a freshman and go through his time at LeMoyne and see what he has done and the way that he talks about supporting the newcomers that come onto this team. It really says a lot about him. It says a lot about his leadership, and it says a lot about the person he's chosen to be, not just for himself, but also for others. And for Mason Ciciarelli to speak on this experience and what it's been like for him to go through it. And when they're out there on the field, they're out there on the field. It doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter what they have going up against them, and that he's experiencing this Division I move as a freshman. So it's all that he knows at LeMoyne. And to get that back and forth between a veteran and a newcomer onto the team is awesome. To hear that concern and care for each other, for who's there and who's coming on, and making sure you pass the baton in a positive and healthy way is huge. So thank you to Kyle Caves. Thank you to Mason Ciciarelli. Thank you to Liverpool and CNS and West Jenny and Beeville and CBA and so on and so forth, and all of these wonderful ESM, all these wonderful schools for building up their student athletes the way that you do. Thank you to the student athletes and the coaches in our community. There was a mention of two fantastic coaches, in Mike Felice and Chuck Wilbur, who I know both of them and I've gotten to know them over the years, and I respect them incredibly. So, I feel very grateful. I think today's conversation in Dolphin Dive, inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership here on Wake Up Call with the LeMoyne College Dolphins, it was an example of our community. It was an example of the great coaches that we have, the great student athletes that we have, and more than anything, the great people that we have. And I can't thank Kyle and Mason enough for joining me here live this morning. And I want to thank Craig Lane and everybody over at LeMoyne, and of course Bob Beretta and Dr. Linda Lemura and Pete Delora and the board for doing what you do the way that you do it, and creating these avenues and these opportunities to really have a wonderful experience. There's a lot of people working extremely hard. Shout out to James as well. I mean, there's Mike. There's so many people that are working hard out there, Kevin, at LeMoyne College, and I appreciate it. And it means a lot to me, because these student athletes, every single one of them has had an interesting story. And in the case of these two guys, they're playing the only independent season for LeMoyne athletics. There's no other team that's an independent. Everybody's in the NEC. LeMoyne men's lacrosse will be in the NEC soon, but this year they're playing as an independent, so they could put together whatever schedule they want, play whoever they wanted to play, and they've gotten to play Denver and Yale, two teams ranked in the top 25 in the nation. And so I definitely can respect the fact that these guys are in a very unique place, and they're the ones that can say it, right? When we went to Division I, we were the team that had an independent season. We're the team that had a unique approach to going to Division I, and they've gone through that together. And I'm happy that we got to get a couple voices of the team on here to discuss what that experience has been like, what it's been like to work together, and what it's been like to represent the community. So thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Mason. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call, and we'll come back to talk about what's going on in the sports world before we jump into hour number 2, where I will be sharing with you the voices of the introductory press conference for Gerry McNamara. You are going to see my videos of Bob Belber, the MVP Arena general manager. You will also see and hear from Travis Teletocci, and Travis Teletocci is going to be joining us from the MAC, the MAAC, the commissioner of the MAC. So the commissioner of the MAC welcoming GMac, and he had a nice play on words that I'm not going to take. I'm going to let you see for yourself. And then Chuck Seifert, the president of Siena College, you'll see his words. You'll also see and hear from John D'Argenio, the vice president and athletics director at Siena College. And then, of course, you'll hear from Gerry McNamara himself in his first official press conference since being selected as the Siena Saints men's basketball head coach. So a lot of great stuff coming up with Bob, Travis, Chuck, John, and Gerry McNamara himself in hour number 2 as we celebrate a moment that I'm so happy and so grateful to God I was able to be there for at MVP Arena in our state's capital of Albany, New York. All that's coming up after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community They give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and want to give you a special thanks for joining us on all of our outlets, however you're connected with us, on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, and of course, joining us on our social media, including Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Big time thanks once again to Kyle Caves and Mason Ciciarelli for joining me of LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse for today's edition of the Dolphin Dive in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. The LeMoyne men's lacrosse team will be in action on April 12th. So they got some time in between here from March 26th to April 12th, have a break. They will be not a break from practice, right? They're still getting out there going after it, but a break between games. So they will be in action on Friday, April 12th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time at Bucknell in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Then on April 19th, the following Friday, also at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, they'll be at Lafayette College in Easton, PA, and they'll round out the season on Thursday, April 25th at 4 p.m. against Holy Cross on Ted Grant Field right here in our community. And I look forward to seeing you out at the game. I'll be out at the game, so I hope you come out and support the team. Like I said, they've only had one game at home this season, and that was against St. John's, and that was a strong performance, 9-7. They end up losing in that game, and their only other home game is going to be up against Holy Cross. So I hope that you'll come out and join me at the game to support your LeMoyne College Dolphins and to cheer on these wonderful student athletes, including Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves. So hopefully you'll be out for that and spend some time enjoying and going and seeing them as well. The Diamondbacks, I want to give them a little shout out here. Back in 2001, the Diamondbacks won their first and only World Series so far, and that was against the Yankees. Last night, they had their first shutout of the season, defeating the Yankees 7-0. So, a shout out to that series that's going on right now. And obviously the Yankees coming off of an awesome series against the Houston Astros. They won that series. I think they swept that series. And then on the side of the Arizona Diamondbacks, they won their series against Colorado 3-1 before they end up playing each other. And this has been a back and forth. So a lot of fun here between the Diamondbacks and the Yankees. Fun for me to get to see it too, to get to see this matchup and this back and forth that they've had. So a shout out to the fact that the season has begun. Very excited about this season and excited about what's to come. And of course, Papa Joe is going to be joining me to talk all about it coming up here tomorrow. We're going to have our broadcast with Papa Joe that'll run 9 to 11. We'll do all 2 hours of Wake Up Call with PJ this Thursday, April 4th. Very much looking forward to that. PJ and I are going to be discussing all around we're going to go around the diamond across the country for Major League Baseball and what's going on to start off this season, as we're going to be almost a full complete week in when we talk to PJ on tomorrow's broadcast. And we'll also get into the NFL and the draft and different things that are coming up here. So taking a look at the Diamondbacks here so far, they have that 1-1 with the Yankees, losing 5-2. at home in Arizona at Chase Field and then winning 7-0. They have a game today against the Yankees, and that game is going to be at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. So on the West Coast, got an early game here. Going to be 12:40 for everybody out there on the West Coast. So some fun for the Yankees and the Diamondbacks, and a little nod back to the 2001 World Series as they face off against each other again. So excited to see what's going to come with that. As far as the NCAA men's basketball world goes, the transfer's had coaches in it. And, we've seen, and like I said, I saw it very closely with the fact that I was interviewing these coaches of the NCAA tournament, as I do each season by the grace of God, and thanks to the NCAA for giving me the opportunity and having that open door policy with me. And I really do thank them for that. I'm grateful for that. Cannot say I appreciate it enough. And in that opportunity, I've been able to talk to a lot of coaches, and a bunch of the coaches that I either saw or spoke with within these Zoom opportunities that I've had, they're gone. They've switched teams. So, some of the coaches that I've spoken to, some of the coaches that I just saw on screen, they've actually moved on to other teams. Some of them within like 24 hours of their team losing in the NCAA tournament, which was so not great. And I feel terrible for the student athletes. So when we talk about the transfer portal has included coaches and schools for years. I said this years ago, is that, it's included coaches and schools for years, and now it includes student athletes. So when people get mad and they're like, student athletes, they could go wherever they want and they don't have any connection to anybody, it's like, well, schools have jumped conferences. They just did it recently. They killed a conference in doing it and really taken down the Pac-12. And I've seen the American have to build, at least 3 times because of realignment. So we've seen schools in the transfer portal, and coaches are in it all the time. And this year, it was even more so like evident of how cold it can be. But I don't want to say how cold it could be, because maybe, these coaches left on really good terms and they talked to their student athletes. But it's just cold in the sense of like you lose a tournament game, and then within 24 to 48 hours, 72 hours, your coach is gone. So you're sitting there like, oh man, we made the tournament. We're out of the tournament. That stinks. All right, what's the plan for next year? And then your coach is like, yeah, I'm not going to be here. Good luck, guys. And I mean, that's crazy. So we talk about student athletes doing that. Well, coaches also do that. And I do want to make it note of that, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you don't like that players don't have that loyalty to the program that they're on, you got to talk about the coaches with that stuff too. It's really difficult. And how do you make that decision? When is the right time for you to leave and to move on? And how do you kind of handle all of that is a really hard thing to do, because you're making a decision for you and your family, and at the same time, it affects other people. So it is difficult. And not everybody leaves on bad terms, and not everybody leaves, being cold and distant and mean. There's people that handle it the right way, and there's people that handle it a different way. And I think the hardest thing about schools changing conferences and coaches jumping to other schools and student athletes with the transfer portal and all that is that it creates this atmosphere where you never really know what's going to happen. And when somebody gives you their word, you're like, well, what are the things that could change that word, so to speak? And as we look at different moves happening, we speak about conferences. The American Athletic Conference I've been close with since the institution of the conference, before it had a name or a logo. Mike Oresco, the commissioner of the conference for over a decade, has been with me on the show since the beginning. And now the American Athletic is looking at potentially bringing in Tim Pernetti to be their next commissioner. And so he is a college sports executive. And this is something that is out there allegedly right now, so I'm not confirming anything. I'm just talking about it. Taking a look at it, Pernetti is the current president of IMG Academy, and he was the former athletic director at Rutgers, and so there's something to look at there. He has a strong TV background, which is also what Mike Oresco had with CBS. And looking at Pernetti, he has professional experience as a chief business officer for New York City FC of the MLS. So he's been a chief business officer in professional athletics. He's been an athletic director, and he also is the president of IMG Academy and has a connection with television. So we're looking at this and seeing what could happen here. He's looking at a conference that brought in Rice, UTSA, North Texas, Charlotte, FAU, and UAB last season. And so we're also looking at the television contract that they have as a conference with ESPN is going to run through 2031-32. So we'll see what happens here. We talk about the television background for Pernetti. He was the first hire at CSTV, the former College Sports Television Network, and he worked in positions at ABC Sports and ABC Enhanced TV from 1994 to 2003. So that's something to be looked at here as he moves forward, and we'll see. We'll see what happens as he potentially could have the opportunity to bring this all together for the American Athletic Conference as they're trying to figure things out for the future. And when I say bring this all together, look at those 6 new institutions. SMU is leaving, so there's more transition that is still happening. They'll be gone July 1st of 2024. They'll be joining the ACC in all sports. So, and then Army's coming in for football only, just like Navy is in for football only. So there's a lot of different things that are going on here, and Tim Pernetti, if he ends up being the leader of the American Athletic Conference, I would like to hope you're going to see him as often as you have seen Mike Oresco on the show, and cannot thank Mike enough. Mike will continue to be a part of Wake Up Call as long as he wants to be. We love having him on the show, and we can hopefully have Tim Pernetti on as well if he ends up being that representative of the American Athletic Conference. So looking forward to it. Speaking of moves and things that are happening, let's jump into my second hour of today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we hear from the voices of the press conference. And my apologies of not having the first voice of this press conference that stepped forward is having somebody in the political realm representing not only Siena as an alum and not having this video there for you, but having great messages from everybody. So I just want to let that be known here that we didn't skip it on, and not want to share the fact that there were many people that were in attendance at this and many speakers at Gerry McNamara's introductory press conference. So I want to let it be known there that we've had the opportunity, and a Deputy County Executive of Albany County, Mike McLaughlin, was there as well. So I don't have his video for you this morning, but I want to thank Mike for being there and the importance of taking that time out of his busy schedule to support the move by Siena. The first voice you're going to hear from and see here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is Bob Belber of the MVP Arena. He is the general manager, and Bob had some words inside of MVP Arena that hosted the event after hosting last season's men's NCAA tournament and this season's women's basketball tournament regional, both for Division I, and having one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my life, which was Iowa against LSU. It happened the night before this press conference, which was really, really cool, and Bob makes mention of it in his introduction to this conversation, and this is what he had to say.
That were here had an incredible time during that weekend, not unlike the weekend we just had here, but I will tell you, I moved on to New Orleans and saw you win it all that year in 2003 with your team from Syracuse, and I don't think I've ever seen a better three-point shooting guard than what you were, and no doubt probably still are. On behalf of the MVP Arena staff, I'd just like to say welcome to your new home. I try to say that to every Siena alum and every Siena person that comes in. Welcome home when they come in and step foot in the building. My 30th year here, it's been special with John Darginio. I remember back in 1996 when we first started talking about bringing all the games here. And to have Gerry here as the leader of the men's basketball team is going to be just fantastic for Siena College and for MVP Arena and for this market. And so I give you all the best going forward, and whatever we can do from the arena to help with recruits or with anything you need, you've got it, and we wish you the best.
So that coming from Bob Belber, the general manager of MVP Arena, giving his thoughts and saying that he tries to make sure that everybody that comes in to Siena, that he welcomes them home when they come into the college, and that he makes it a point over these last 3 decades to make sure that he gives everyone a proper welcoming into the Siena family, and just showing that appreciation that they're there. So I think that that's wonderful. And, seeing Bob and his connection to this team, because they play their games at MVP Arena, and so having Bob having that play. And if you've never been to MVP Arena in Albany, New York, I suggest that you go. I suggest that when I'm suggesting that you go, the suggestion of the suggestion is to go to a Siena basketball game, men's and women's basketball. Go and check out Siena. Siena men's basketball playing their home games, ushering in their season. And it's going to be obviously at MVP Arena. That's where they have their home contest, which is really special. And I implore you to go out there and see them play in their games this season, and support them for sure, and show them some love, because this is an awesome time. They always say it's a great day to be a Saint, and it is a great day to be a Saint, with Gerry McNamara coming in and getting to see the people that are around this news, and the people that you're going to hear from today. Really means a lot to me to see the caliber of people that are around this, and the caliber of people that are going to be working with Gerry and around Gerry. Really make me feel good about somebody that I care about so very much, and want to see nothing but the greatest success for. So for Bob Belber, the general manager of MVP Arena, I want to thank him for not only being at the event, but for his words that you just saw. And I look forward to everything that is to come with MVP Arena. Just a wonderful arena, and they had Sebastian Maniscalco, so I gotta shout out the arena for that, and them scheduling Sebastian, one of my favorite comedians, and a card-carrying Italian, as I am as well. So big time shout out to that. But I appreciate Bob's words. I love the MVP Arena. It's the first place that I ever got to watch an NCAA tournament game sitting with my dad in the stands, because normally when I'm at the tournament, I'm working, I'm on press row and whatever, and I'm out of town, and my dad, is in town doing his thing. So the fact that him and I got to go last year and we worked it out, we drove down to Albany, we not only got to see the 2023 NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament, but the 2 teams that advanced out of Albany were Miami and UConn. Both of them made the Final Four, and UConn, seeing them advance out of here, both, like I said, both of them made the Final Four, and UConn was the national champion. So, for the first games that my dad and I ever saw together, sitting in the stands at an NCAA tournament game, or tournament opportunity, I should say, for that to be the first time that we went to the NCAA tournament together, and to see Miami advance and UConn advance, and then see the rest of the nation and say to my dad, hey, we saw 50% of the Final Four just by going to our first NCAA tournament outing together. I guess we should go to more. So going and seeing that, and having that history with my dad, and then seeing 50% of the Final Four and the national champion in any game that we could have chosen, any arena we could have went to. The MVP Arena was great. I left with memories with my dad. I stood exactly in the foyer where Gerry had his introductory press conference. I was there with my dad taking pictures just a year ago. So it's funny how God works in very purposeful and mysterious ways, and comes full circle with all of that. So I just want to give a shout out to Bob, because the MVP Arena is a fantastic experience. And if you have not been out there, I'm going to tell you to go out there and enjoy the arena, because it really is truly something special. The MAC commissioner, the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, Travis Teletochi, is here with the opportunity to give his words on welcoming Gerry to the conference where Siena plays in. This is what he has to say.
Excited to extend my stay here in Albany for another day. This is truly a special moment. Wanted to start this afternoon just by thanking a few people. First of all, thanking President Seifert and John and Siena College and all of the volunteers and staff. Thank you to Bob, MVP Arena, and really the city of Albany for all their hard work of what happened here over the last 4 days to make the NCAA Women's Basketball Super Regional in Albany a success. Past 4 days of sold-out crowds were truly remarkable, and I want to thank all of the fans in Albany. I understand the significance of basketball in this region, and it's evident that last night and the previous 3 days will leave a lasting impact on the region. Speaking of memorable moments that are talked about often in the Capital Region, last night's atmosphere was very reminiscent of a game that I had the opportunity to attend 21 years ago. I was a junior in college and a volunteer stat runner for Jason Rich here at the Pepsi Arena for the 2003 NCAA Men's Basketball Regional that featured a very pro Syracuse crowd. It's mind-blowing for me. After 21 years, I go from stat runner to commissioner, and that I'd be welcoming one of the stars on that national championship team as the head men's basketball coach of Siena College. These are exciting times not only for Siena, but for the MAC as well. We're nearing the end of our strategic planning process, which has given us an opportunity to take a fresh look at all facets of the conference. As a basketball-centric conference, we look forward to continue to enhance the reputation and standard of excellence across the league. I look forward to working with Gerry, all of our head coaches, our athletic directors, our presidents, to continue to elevate MAC basketball. On behalf of the conference, I'd like to welcome Gerry, Katie, and their children to the MAC. I have no doubt that the McNamaras will fit in well. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And so Travis there, the MAC commissioner, talking about the McNamaras inside of the MAC conference. Definitely some nice words, some awesome words. I love that. And I could tell that he was waiting. He was leading up to that. As soon as he said it, I'm like, he had that thing down there, wrote it whenever he wrote it, and was like, this is how I'm going to hit him. This is how I'm going to get him at the end. I'm going to bring everybody in. I'm going to say all these words, and then they're not going to be ready for bang. Here it is. The McNamaras will fit into the conference. So I love that, and there will be some play on words, I'm sure. As was said while we were at the introductory press conference, we're going to hear from the president of Siena as well as their VP and athletics director. And of course, we'll hear from Gerry himself in all of their speeches in the introductory press conference for Gerry McNamara joining Siena College as their head coach, the first head coaching opportunity he has had in his career, and that coming with the Siena Saints men's basketball program. That's coming up after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you're with us on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Coming up next is the continuation of the conversations here with the wonderful event for Siena College in their welcoming of Gerry McNamara. And after we see all of this, I'm going to get into, the behind the scenes and my experience and all that stuff. So make sure you stay tuned all the way through to the end of the show, because I got some stuff to talk about in my time down there. I traveled down to Albany to be at this event, literally changed things around my schedule so that I could be there for GMac, because I truly appreciate him. He's meant a lot to me since I saw them, since he came to Syracuse, literally from the moment that he came to Syracuse and played for Syracuse and winning that national championship. And then all the time beyond that, meeting him the first time I got to meet him, how we met, which was really unique, the connection we had, which was really unique. And I'll get into all of that after you see all of these speeches in this spotlight on Gerry's moment here in joining the Siena Saints as their men's basketball head coach. So a lot of great stuff coming up, just very cool, and I have a lot of things to discuss about yesterday and how special yesterday was to me, and being there and seeing somebody that I value and I appreciate on and off the court have this wonderful opportunity of a lifetime. So coming up next here is the president, Chuck Seifert, and Chuck Seifert had some words, president of Siena College. Really appreciated hearing from everybody here, and love the message that Chuck had, as I am a man of faith and strong in that faith. Siena being connected to the Franciscan piece of this beautiful faith that we have, and a belief in God, and just the wonderful things that he said. And there are pieces of his speech that we don't have every single piece of the speech here this morning. We have kind of the beginning of the speech and different things that he said, and then the tail end of the speech as well. But and I wanted to make that be known, because the entire speech was so awesome. And honestly, I thought he was done with the speech at a certain point, so I stopped recording, and he kept going. So that's why we have a little bit of the middle piece that you're not going to see here this morning. But the essence of what he had to say is definitely here. And Dr. Chuck Seifert, I was moved by his speech, moved enough to want to spend some time talking with him in hopefully the not too distant future. This is what he had to say.
Thank you. Boy, I was here last night, and what excitement and just what a wonderful environment, and it's wonderful to see it here again today. This is absolutely fantastic. So the 54,000, we'll blow that out of the water. Class of 2007, what was your major?
I don't remember.
All right. I wonder if you ever took me.
Political science and philosophy.
Okay, no, we're okay. But please, thank you all for being here. It's absolutely wonderful to invite the members of the press, our board of trustees, our faculty, our students, community members, our friends, and my dog Baloo over there with Charles. So I'm so glad that you were all here to help us celebrate this very, very important event. Siena College basketball obviously holds a very special place for Siena College and the larger Capital District and the overarching community. We know about our success dating all the way back to our early days in 1950. We were the National Catholic International Champions in 1950, and then more recently we've had 5 NIT bids, and we played in the NCAA 6 different times. All of those different events have really helped put Siena College and this area on the map. We're equally proud, obviously, of our academic excellence and our commitment to service from our student athletes and all community members. This rich history is our backdrop. Today we stand really at the precipice of a very promising future as our men's basketball program embarks on this next important journey. It is with immense pride and profound confidence that we welcome Gerry McNamara as Siena College's next basketball head coach in the larger area and helping promote the story of new generations of Saints. As we embark on this journey together, Gerry's guidance, we're not only pursuing wins and titles, we are pursuing wins and titles, but not just wins and titles. We're nurturing leaders, we're building community, and we're reaffirming our commitment to the Franciscan values that define us. The future of Siena Saints basketball and Siena College is bright, and we have all the confidence in the world in your success and leadership. Thank you. I do also want to congratulate and thank everyone that was involved in the search process. First and foremost, our Vice President and Athletic Director, John Dargenio. His guidance, his leadership, and his support are just unsurpassed and was absolutely critical to the success. So thank you for everything that you've done. And Gerry, thank you for embracing this challenge as well. We are looking forward to the opportunity to grow and nurture together. So thank you, Gerry. To our students, faculty, alumni, and fans, your unwavering support truly fuels our pursuit of excellence. In closing, I invite each and every one of you to join us on this exhilarating journey. Let's rally behind Coach McNamara and our Saints as we stride into the new era of Siena College basketball, rooted in our Franciscan mission and values that define our collective spirit. Thank you, and God bless.
Awesome words from Dr. Chuck Seifert, the president of Siena College, speaking there at the introductory press conference for Gerry McNamara. He mentioned Vice President and Athletic Director John Dargenio, and John has some words that he had yesterday, as he was the final speaker before Gerry McNamara came up. And this is what John Dargenio had to say about this moment and Gerry McNamara.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out to this great, fun, and celebratory day. I want to take a moment to thank Bob Belber and his staff, particularly Nate Sims, Anthony Panagrasso, for being able to do this here today. We all know there was a little event going on behind us the past few days, so for you guys to do this, I truly appreciate it. I want to thank the MAC Commissioner for being here. Travis is a great emerging leader in college sports, and we know he's committed to make the MAC better for its membership. Of course, I want to thank Chuck for his wisdom and guidance throughout this process, because it enabled a smooth landing, so thank you. Siena basketball's had a proud tradition in the Capital Region for many, many, many decades. It started in the 30s. A young man named Howie Tucker from Ravenna enrolled at Siena, one of the first basketball players, first member of the Siena College Sports Hall of Fame. You know, the legacy in the program was nurtured in the 50s by people like Father Morris Fitzgerald, coach and athletic director Dan Kuna, who saw the value of Siena basketball. They played, actually, a lot of games right around the corner in the Washington Avenue Armory against teams like Oklahoma State and Texas A&M. They took the team down to Madison Square Garden to elevate the national profile. We won the National Catholic Invitational Tournament that Chuck mentioned. And along the way, it had some top 12, top 20 rankings in the Associated Press. In the 70s, Bill Kirsch came back. He was a player on those teams in the 50s, brought Siena to Division I, and helped us establish a foundation. And then in the 90s and then this century, there's been a lot of great moments that have put Siena on the national stage. Chuck mentioned some of them. When you walk in this building, there's 5 NIT banners, including one that says finalist round, which revives Siena's tradition and history of going to MSG. There's one CBI postseason championship. There's 7 conference NCAA tournament championships, including 3 that say second round. So Siena and its fan base in this area deserve more banners. The team deserves more banners. Everybody here deserves more banners. And we think we found the person to help us do that. Gerry's leadership was nurtured from the ground up in basketball. A player, a graduate assistant, not quite sure how that went, but I'm sure it was interesting. Assistant coach and associate head coach. So along the way, he's done the steps necessary now to add head coach to his title. We look forward to his leadership. We look forward to the basketball skill he's going to bring. More importantly, we look forward to the person that he brings, and we look forward to the family that he brings to Siena College. So now, Coach McNamara.
That coming from John Giorginio, the vice president and athletics director at Siena College, giving that speech right before we hear from the man himself. And this is the entire introductory press conference speech from Gerry McNamara. The first speech at Siena, the first speech since getting the job, the first speech as head coach of the Saints.
Thank you. I can't begin to explain how welcome we have felt since the moment we arrived yesterday, from the initial conversations that I've had with President Seifert. John made me feel welcome, explained the vision and direction we wanted to take the program. It aligned with me of how I am as a person, how I am as a father, family man. So to give me this opportunity, I'm so blessed, so honored. I understand the rich tradition here. I don't take it lightly. I wrote 2 speeches today. I was worried Roger was going to get his hands on this one and tweet it out. So I've got to take this moment really to thank so many people that I might not get a chance to thank publicly. Right here, my mom and dad, who showed me, can you believe this, 4 years of college, Syracuse, travel all over the country, never missed a game. You know, when I think about being a parent, I think about this right here, showed me the way. My siblings, Timmy, Bridget, Maureen couldn't make it today, but by the time I entered college, I was the youngest of 4, and I looked at 3 college graduates. My mother-in-law, I have so much support in my life, so much love in my life. St. Margaret, as I like to call it. The Haggerty family, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Daniel and Megan, who raided the bookstore, like President Seifert said yesterday. Coincidentally, as we were taking our tour and we were in the parking lot, Daniel and Megan and Margaret pulled in at the same time as we were going through campus. But I've just been molded by so many people that I feel like is partly the reason that I'm here today in this position as a head coach. mainly in my coaching career. My father started me in the game, but I had Teddy Bloom, who was his best friend, my grade school coach, who was a terrific person, probably my second father, if I had to pick one. I had a terrific high school coach in John Bucci. Both Teddy and Coach Bucci aren't with us today, and I know that they'd be smiling down, proud today. And Coach Boeheim, probably had the biggest influence on me in terms of almost forcing me into coaching. Trying to get me back on his staff. Someone that's meant the world to me, gave me a second opportunity after I got stopped playing. I'm just so happy to have him in my life. Coach Mike Hopkins, who, if I model anything, if I could say who I model the most as far as a coach, it'd be Hop. And it's because of how he treats people. It's how I am. Pour into them, show them you care, spend the time with them. That's who I try to be. Philosophically, we might think a little bit different, but as far as who we are as people, I'm so appreciative of him. He's still in my life to this day. And then the Syracuse staff. This past year, Pete Corsiniti, Ryan Bury, Brennan Strong, Alan Griffin, Mike Mangano, Ryan Kabilas, and Ellie Onion. This last year was really rewarding for me because I watched Adrian Autry, one of my great friends, transition from associate head coach to head coach, the same transition that I'm currently making. And to watch one of your best friends dive headfirst into that endeavor, never look back, confident, to be through that process with him, I was so proud of him. But at the same time, it was really rewarding for me because I got a chance to take from it too. So to watch Red go through his process, for me to go through my process, I think for me to develop fully as a coach, I probably needed that. And I'm so proud of him. He's going to be 20 wins this year. He's going to continue to be great. Regardless of what, I got a lot of Q steer, man. I got a lot of it. I told John, I was like, listen, I don't want to come in looking like a Syracuse billboard. But the greatest thing about it is it's always going to be my alma mater. Above all else. So I'll always be able to put on a Syracuse shirt, and don't judge me because at the end of the day, it's my alma mater and those are my guys. And my agents, Brett, Cav, just from being in the business and understanding me, being friends of mine, leading me in a certain direction. Just so thankful for them. And my kids, for being really brave. Brave because I know what Syracuse leaving us leaving is emotional. And it's an emotional time because we love where we are. We love the school district. I came to Syracuse as a young man, as a player, but I'm leaving as a father of 4. And that's, regardless of what I did as a player, that's the most important thing that I've done in my life in that city. They helped raise my family. So, for my kids for being brave, and don't mistake it, we're going to make another great home here, and there's great people in this area. And to my wife, as I was going through this process, and we had obviously started the conversations of maybe being in this position of being head coach here, she said something, she's probably going to be surprised right now. So I don't know who's a golfer. I'm a big golfer. Full Swing on Netflix. So what we typically do is we'll put our kids to bed and we'll breathe a sigh of relief, maybe open a glass of wine, a bottle of wine, have a glass of wine when we're watching Full Swing. So we started talking about the possibility of this coming to fruition. And we started talking about how emotional it would be. And she said to me, and I'll take it, she doesn't realize it, but when she said it to me, she said, our happiness is simple. And the more I thought about it, as soon as she said it to me, I knew I was ready. Because she was right. I'm very simple, we're very simple. I love to coach basketball, I love the game. I love my family. I did an interview yesterday. I said I'm pretty boring. I love hoop, and I go home to them. But when she hit me with, our happiness is simple, it simplified this whole process for me. We're leaving something behind, but together we're going to take on this new challenge. So I can't even look at you. I can't even look at you. So obviously I've got a lot of people to thank, but I do want to address the fans, the alumni, supporters. You know why I'm here. Anyone that knows me knows why I'm here. I'm here to win. Simple. That's who I am. I am here to win. It's all I've ever tried to do as a coach, a player. Every day I walk in the gym, it's with the intent to work to win. Did you see this place? I was here last night. What an environment. And I remember how it felt to play in it. I remember playing here. This place was rocking. That's what I want. I chose Siena, and I'm thankful that I was offered Siena, but I chose here because of that. I'm leaving something where there was support, people cared, and there was a vision. I'm ready. You're ready. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna recruit, put together a roster that we feel like is competitive immediately. All right? What I want on your end, buy season tickets, bring your kids, show up, bring a friend. Because I promise, every team that I put on the court will be prepared to play. That's my goal here. I'm here to win. I can't wait to get to work. I'm gonna go get this team. I'm gonna get my staff here. And you're right. It's a great day to be a Saint. And I'm damn proud to be the coach here.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, is your home for all your sports card needs. They have hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, AEW, UFC, all sport cards coming in there throughout the year. The opportunity to open up packs and boxes. They have racing as well for you to go out there and get. And I want to show some love for that Disney Lorcana as well as Pokemon that they have on site. So if you are a trading card fan, if you like to play those games, if you like to collect certain teams, certain sports, if you want to just open up a new pack and try something new, or if you've never opened a pack or a box before and you want the opportunity to experience what we're talking about here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, everyone, be it somebody who's collected forever or someone who's never done it before, everyone is welcome at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Get yourself over to GG Cards and Breaks and their singles, their packs, their boxes, as well as their graded cards. They're the only place I know that has every MLB, NFL, and NBA team in its own box, and you could go through that and find rookies, find numbered cards, find autographs, patch cards. You never know what you're going to find in those boxes, so you definitely have to take the time to go over to GG Cards and Breaks and check it all out. We are proud that they are our connection to the sports card world, the trading card world, and the world of the hobby. Thank you to Josh, Anthony, and the entire team at GG Cards and Breaks for being the difference. And thank you to everybody that goes out to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, and comes out to trade night every single month. We look forward to seeing you at the next one. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, you got to see and hear from many people speaking at the introductory press conference for Gerry McNamara, including MVP Arena General Manager Bob Belber, as well as MAC Commissioner Travis Teletochi and Dr. Chuck Seifert, the president of Siena College, as well as John DiEugenio, and him with the vice president and athletic director role, John DiEugenio introducing Gerry McNamara as the last speaker before Gerry came up. And of course, hearing from Gerry McNamara, the head coach of the Siena Saints men's basketball program. And I told you that I would give you my thoughts, my take, what it was like for me to experience this. Now, I have a unique story when it comes to Gerry McNamara. And you can see the Cuse is in the house, oh my God, that is always here in the studio. My experience of Gerry McNamara, when I was in high school, when he was first coming to Syracuse, and we look at that 2002-2003 season when they won the 2003 national championship in the NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament in New Orleans. I was a senior in high school. He was a young gun in the world of college athletics. I was at CBA, minutes from Syracuse's campus. I picked Syracuse to win the national championship. I put them in my bracket. It was me and one other person. I forget who that person was, but there was one other person. I know it was just like two of us, I think. And I had picked Syracuse to win. I was ridiculed by my classmates, made fun of by my classmates, called a homer, whatever you want to call it, but I picked Syracuse. And in that time of those 3 weeks, Syracuse kept advancing. And I still remember those games. I remember what room of the house I was in for those games. I remember what I was doing during the national championship game with my parents and with my dog Shady. God bless her in heaven. Miss you, little girl. When they won, I went to school the next day because they had won on a Monday night. So I went to school on Tuesday. And people were going nuts. And everybody was jumping up and down and screaming and high-fiving each other. And the people that were making fun of me for weeks because I picked Syracuse, that called me a homer, told me I didn't know what I was talking about, I was crazy, they were never going to win, yada, yada, yada. Those people were congratulating each other. So I went over to them and told them to put their hands down. I said, you didn't pick Syracuse. And I had all their brackets in my book bag. And I handed it back to them. You picked Ohio State, you picked Kentucky, you picked Kansas. You did not pick Syracuse. You picked Oklahoma, whatever. when Syracuse won the national championship, I took it personally because it's my hometown. And I took it personally because I picked Syracuse to win. And I was in an extreme minority when I picked Syracuse to win the national championship in 2003. And because of Gerry McNamara and Queth Duaney and Hakeem Warwick and Josh Pace and Carmelo Anthony and Craig Forth and so on and so forth, this team that won a national championship, Billy Edelin, I got to celebrate that not only as someone from Syracuse, not only as someone who grew up my whole life going to Syracuse games and watching Syracuse games with my mom and my dad and my grandparents and my friends, but that I picked Syracuse, that I put my reputation on the line. I put my prediction on the line. And that meant the world to me. And I still go back to that day in the cafeteria at CBA. And by the way, those people, most of them did not apologize to me for making fun of me when I picked Syracuse. I just want to let that be known. But I don't care. It doesn't matter. I was still right. And after Syracuse won, I graduated, right? And I went to Scranton, Gerry McNamara's hometown. When I went to Scranton, he had just recently before come to Syracuse. He's 40, I'm 38. We're very close in age. So we flipped hometowns. I went to Marywood University in Scranton. He went to Syracuse University in Syracuse. And when I was working out of college, my first job out of college, I was at ESPN Radio, 630, 1240, and 96.1 FM, doing what was called the Dan Tortora Show before I changed it to Wake Up Call. And Gerry came in, and for whatever reason, he was in town and he was touring our facility at Time Shamrock Communications. And he was walking through, and he walked in, and I think my boss was like, I need to introduce you to like the biggest Syracuse fan ever. And I said, hey, Gerry, how you doing? And he was like, good. And I said, I want to take you over here. And I brought him over to my desk, and I said, here's all the teams that I support. Here are my favorite teams. I had cut out their logos and put their logos on my cubicle wall, and Syracuse is at the top. And I said, I just want you to know that, you know, we switched hometowns. You came to mine. I went to yours at almost the same time. And, you know, I've been a big supporter of Syracuse. That's how we met. I had wanted to talk to Gerry since the second that, you know, they won the national championship and before that, but I had waited. At this point, it was 5 years because they won in 2003. And I finally got to meet him, and I thought it was really cool that I got to meet him in Scranton after he played in my hometown, and here I am in his hometown and working in his hometown after graduating from Marywood right down the road from Time Shamrock Communications. And knowing that we got to meet there, I looked up at God and said, you know, I think it's incredible that somebody that I wanted to meet years ago, you literally brought to my doorstep. I didn't know he was going to be at Time Shamrock, and here he is walking by my office. So here I am thinking, how am I ever going to meet Gerry McNamara? And God brought him to me. After that, I didn't know if I was ever going to see Gerry again. And I was working in Scranton. And I came back to Syracuse, and I worked at ESPN 1260 before it became the Score 1260. And I worked there for a few months, but I really wanted to go down to Florida. And I ended up working for ESPN 1080 The Team. And I started there in 2009. And I went down to Orlando. And so obviously I left my hometown. And I was working out of Florida. I was working at Disney. I was working at ESPN Radio 1080 The Team. And, you know, living right by Disney. Then I had a crossroads, and I decided to come home. I was thinking to myself, do I want to go to Bristol, Connecticut, or do I want to come home? And I appreciate everybody watching and listening right now to this background of my connection with Gerry McNamara, because he is a person I care about very much so. And so I decided to come home. I apply for credentials for Syracuse basketball. I don't get them right away. I'm not respected. I'm not regarded. There was a lot of nasty stuff that was going on in the background, and I had to pray about it. And ultimately, after a lot of angst, I just trusted God with it. And I was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do. I can only be myself. I can only be the person that I am, do the work that I do, and be respectful. And I decided to just be respectful and be kind and work hard and keep my faith. And I kind of forgot about it. And then I got a credential. I think I waited like 2.5 years to get it, and I got it. And when I got that credential, I walk into Syracuse. And who comes back to Syracuse? Gerry McNamara. And I start covering the team on site, on location. And for the past at least a decade, I've been around Gerry. And every time I'm around Gerry, I think back to that time that I met Gerry in Scranton. And I think about what it means to me that Gerry and that entire team made me right at a time where I was being ridiculed for picking Syracuse. And, people saying that I only did it because I'm from Syracuse and that there couldn't be any other reason why I thought that team would win. And here I am around Gerry, and Gerry and I build a relationship. We build some trust, and he comes on my show. And we do video interviews, we do audio interviews, and we're talking back and forth, and we're doing this stuff together. And then the coaching change happens with Jim Boeheim deciding to leave after 47 years of being the head coach. Adrian Autry comes in, and he's the associate head coach, and as he becomes the head coach, he tabs Gerry to be the associate head coach. And then the season ends, first season with Adrian, 2023-24, and the conversation becomes, is Gerry going to leave? And then the Siena rumors start to happen, and Gerry gets the job. And I find out when the press conference is going to be Tuesday at 1 o'clock, which was yesterday. And I reach out to Siena and said, hey, I've covered Gerry for at least a decade. I would love the opportunity to be down there. And Mike in the athletic department, who has been terrific, he said, see you Tuesday. And I changed around my schedule. I moved some things around to make things possible so that I could do it. And having that opportunity to go down there, I told my parents there's nowhere else that I'd rather be. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. I will move around whatever I have to move around to make sure that I'm there. I moved around stuff professionally, and I moved around the my car inspection. I had to get my car inspected, and I moved that to the early morning, so that I wasn't doing it later on in the afternoon because I didn't know if I was going to be back in time. And luckily, I did that. I wasn't back in the time that I would have had to be. I did everything I could to be there and I was not on a lot of sleep either. But there was nowhere else I'd rather be. And they say that the people that you care about when you, without question, do whatever it takes to be there. You don't even think twice about it. And I didn't think twice about it. There was nothing else that I wanted to make sure I did that day besides having, obviously, my show planned and getting done everything that I need to do and being there for Gerry. And getting to see Gerry after. And I sat in the front row. I was right next to his parents. And getting to see Gerry and hear and see what you just saw and heard, it meant the world to me. I've never questioned if Gerry could go out there and be a head coach. I've never questioned Gerry's ability to do anything. And I believe we've built a friendship. I believe we've built trust. That there's a connection there that goes beyond basketball. I think he knows what type of man I am. I would like to think that he does. I feel like I know what type of man he is. And yesterday, when the press conference ended, because I always sit in the front row. If you're ever looking for me at a press conference, I'm always in the front. Unless somehow those seats are all taken, I am there. And I'll sit like the front of the front. I will sit right in front of the podium, which is where I was yesterday. And right across the aisle from me, sitting in the front row in the same spot, are his mom and dad. And after everything ended, they're like, okay, we're going to do, pictures with Gerry and questions and whatnot. Before I did any of that, I had to talk to Ma and Pa McNamara. And I told them, I said, listen, you're celebrities to me. Every time I watched a game with Syracuse, you guys were there. They always showed you in the stands. And I was thinking to myself, because I think I said on the show, I think they made every game. They did make every single game. They did not miss a single game. 135 games, wherever the team played, however many miles it was away, they were there. They did not miss a single game that Gerry played in at Syracuse. 135 games. And I talked to his mom and dad and told them about my connection to him and told them stuff that I told you about meeting him in Scranton and us switching hometowns and all of that. And his mom and dad, absolutely just sweet, kind people. Salt of the earth, blue-collar people that are everything that you think that they would be and better. And then I went over to where the media was asking questions. And I joined in with my peers, and I asked a couple questions of Gerry, and you've seen them on our YouTube channel as well as on our social media. And after asking a couple questions, I said to Mike, I said, I'd like to talk to Gerry. And right after everything happened, he's like, hey, Dan, what's up? He shook my hand. Gerry gave me a hug, and we were just talking about, off the air stuff. And I said to Gerry, I said, I'd love to get a few minutes with you. And he said, yeah, of course, no problem. And I didn't, push him. I let everybody else do the things that they had to do. I'm patient. I was staying there as long as I needed to. And then I got to talk to Gerry, which you've seen that extended cut. And if you haven't seen it, then make sure you check it out. It's on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and it's on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. So make sure that you go and find it. It's probably going to be put on WakeUpCallDT.com as well. And I got to talk to Gerry. And at the end of that conversation, I spoke with Gerry about what he's meant to me. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. It was the way that I feel around him. And it was every bit of who he is as a man and as a person that made me want to be there. It had nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I wanted to be there. This wasn't I got to be there because my professional world and getting this. Yes, I wanted to get interviews. I want to get that connection. Of course, I want to put it up on the show. But I was there that day. I was there at Gerry's introductory press conference because Gerry to me is similar to me. We're almost the same age. Again, he's 40, I'm 38. We came from blue-collar, hard-working cities. We know what it's like for people to count us out. And he played basketball. I played basketball growing up. He shoots threes. I love shooting threes. I shoot from anywhere. And in my professional realm of what I chose to do with my life, there is a lot of things that can hold somebody back. And in his professional realm and what he chose to do in his life, there's a lot of things that can hold somebody back. Yet he kept bouncing the ball, and I kept getting on the microphone. And then he went to coach, and I kept pushing myself and opened up my business. When I opened up my business almost 12 years ago, there was that feeling of I believe in me, God believes in me, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And I get that from Gerry. I get that competitiveness from him. That I don't get it from, I'm not saying I get it from, I'm saying I get his competitiveness because I have that competitiveness. I get that will to win because I have that will to win. I get that nobody's going to stop me because nobody's going to stop me. And talking with Gerry, I feel like I'm literally just talking to somebody in Scranton, PA. I'm talking to a guy who's just out there working hard, has a family, loves his family, and does the things that he needs to do to chase the dreams he needs to have. He's an everyman person. And that is what I probably love the most about him. And the fact that him and I have these conversations that are very real, and they're very trustworthy, and they're very connected. And getting to see his wife yesterday, I'd never gone up and introduced myself to her. And so I went up to Katie yesterday, and I put my hand out, and I said, I just want to say hello. And I said, what he said about you that you all saw, what he said about, my wife said one sentence to me. She said, we're very simple, we have this very simple life, that the happiness that we have is simple, that this world that we live in is not complicated, and in what we want and in what matters to us. And I told her, I said, there's things like that you don't know that they're going to make such an impact, but they do. And his wife, so sweet, and his mom and dad, so sweet and so kind. And of course, I'm not surprised that that's Gerry's wife, and I'm not surprised that those are Gerry's parents, because when you get to know Gerry, you surround yourself with people that are going to bring out the best in you. And the qualities that he has, I could sense those qualities in the people that he has chosen to surround himself with. And I could sense those qualities too from Siena. And I couldn't be more happier. So when you look at yesterday, sitting in the front row, being next to his parents that I watched as celebrities on television growing up, seeing them everywhere. And I told them, I said, from a kid whose parents came to his games, whether he played or not, whether I was in for no minutes, 2 minutes, 20 minutes, my parents were there. I said, seeing you in the stands made me think about my parents in the stands. And I respect that and I appreciate that. I love this for Gerry. I love this moment for him. And I know that he is going to do everything that he possibly can with it. And I'm going to be rooting for him. And I'm going to make myself present because I care about him. And I value him. So, to everybody out there that doesn't know Gerry McNamara or knows a little bit about him, I just want to tell you that you got a fantastic person in your community. Not a fantastic only coach. You got a fantastic person in your community. You got someone who I would drive over 2 hours down and 2 hours back just to see him. Nobody paid me to do that. Nobody put gas in my car. Nobody, was up late at night editing everything, making sure things were ready for the show. Everything that was done that day was done with the purpose of being there for Gerry, because I believe in the person that he is. So wins and losses, of course you want to win. Of course you want to do well. But when you hire a guy like Gerry, you hire a guy that you don't want to see leave. You don't want to see go. He's the person that it's not you saying, can you get out of here? It's you saying, can you stay? He builds those connections with people, and he talked about Hop, and I value the connections that Hop and I built over the years, and I value the connections I have with Gerry. He's a good man. He's a hard worker. He's a blue-collar person, and I have the spending time with him. And for him to respect our time together, to call me by my first name in front of everybody, to have that personal touch and that personal connection means the world to me. And I know God is blessing his path and his family's path. I know God's got his back. I know he works incredibly hard. And that blue-collar mentality and that work ethic and that dog that he has in him and the fire that he has inside, he is going to be a tremendous coach. He's going to be a tremendous leader. And I'm not too proud to say, I love the guy. I love him. I respect him. I value him. And there's not a ton of people that are going to get me to drive here and there. But for Gerry McNamara, absolutely. So I hope you drive over to MVP Arena this year, and I hope you go to the away games, and I hope you support the Siena Saints, because they have a wonderful leader who is going to build up your community. He is going to invigorate the people, and he will find a way to get a flower out of concrete. And through those cracks, he will build an empire. And I look forward to seeing it. God bless you, Gerry. God bless Siena. And God bless this moment. Thank you for always helping me to be seen and heard. From one guy to another, from one blue collar to another. Walking by him and bumping his fist means the world to me. I remember there were times in the locker room where he would walk by everybody and he would see me and he'd stop, he'd bump my fist, look at me, and keep walking. And that respect, that connection, that simple, hey man, I see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. That's the type of person you want to fight for. And it's the type of person that you want to make time for. So thank you, Gerry. And I look forward to everything that is to come between us in building and with what you're going to do with Siena. God bless you, brother. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, youtube.com and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate you being here. Once we go live, we jump into the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do to find us is search on any one of these networks, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to all of our incredible partners that you can visit in Central and Upstate New York. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, MON-FRI Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your LeMoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins during Dolphin Time on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, including today with Mason Ciciarelli and Kyle Caves of the LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse team. AD&DT comes to you the first and third Wednesday of each month with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. The Dolphin Dive dives into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni, all inside of our second and fourth Wednesday of each month. We underpromise and overdeliver, so there's more AD&DT and Dolphin Dives than what we say you're going to get, and you can find all of them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. That's youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the LeMoyne playlist there. You can also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab for more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find your Bobcats every single month in what we call the Bobcat Buzz, spotlighting men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, and esports. As we're in the baseball season with Sean Peak, our next special is going to be coming up with student athletes and head coach Sean Peak of the Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats baseball team in their second year of existence. I've been able to cover this team through their inaugural season and do something really special, as how many times do you get to cover an inaugural team anywhere? So love the originality and this building the story from the ground up, and love the opportunity to speak with Sean and the gang. So make sure you look out for that episode of Bobcat Buzz. You can find the Bobcats on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course you can also see the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. You can find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats during Bearcat Time, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And during Bearcat Time, you will find a plethora of Bearcat break room segments with student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the month. And you will see monthly also a segment we call Moments with Marshall, with Binghamton University Athletics Director Gene Marshall joining the broadcast. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and the notification bell to have all of our Bearcat coverage. You can find our Binghamton playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com. And as always, go Bearcats. With that being said, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show today. Inside of MON-FRI What's Poppin'. The CNY snack capital is popping all the time. Head over to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to hang out with Ma and Paz and get all of their new freeze-dried candy that is absolutely exquisite. I have a bunch of it in my house, and I take it in my little travels as well. So make sure you get over to Ma and Paz today for all of those awesome favorites, including all of those new things that can become a favorite for you. Big time thanks to our Dolphin Dive guests of LeMoyne Dolphins men's lacrosse, Kyle Caves out of Liverpool and Mason Ciciarelli out of CNS. And of course, a big time thanks to Siena College for having me there at their event. And I want to thank everyone, including those you got to hear from today, Bob Belber, the MVP Arena GM, as well as Travis Talatochi, the MAC commissioner, the MAAC, Dr. Chuck Seifert, the president of Siena College, as well as John Diogenio, the vice president and athletics director of Siena College, and of course, Gerry McNamara, national champion, Syracuse alum, as a coach and a student athlete, and the new head coach of the Siena Saints. So for Gerry, for everybody else that was here on the show and a part of that incredible moment for Siena College, I want to thank you all again. For Kyle and Mason, for all of you watching and listening, find Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and of course everything's on WakeUpCallDT.com. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for hanging out with me every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I cannot tell you how much it means to me. God bless every single one of you. Happy birthday to everybody who's got a birthday out there, an anniversary. For those of you that are missing somebody who's up in heaven, God bless to them up in heaven and you here on earth. May you always be connected through God, because dying, Jesus destroyed our death, and rising, he restored our life. Have a beautiful day. God bless.